Oz.
Which is very hard to illustrate.
Boy, it was fun to write those lines. I really had a surprising amount of fun writing Oz, and he's become one of my favorites.
Yeah, when I first talked to Giles about season 8, and I was on board and everything, and he was telling me, because again, I wasn't a fan, so I was getting this whole Buffy thing from the source, I guess, and I was trying to understand it. I really got the impression that this was more like a love letter to this girl that he really loved, and he was trying to continue this whole thing on. I really had an affinity for Buffy, but I hate to say it, the second arc, once Faith really came into play, maybe I just have a thing for very troubled girls. I just really enjoyed doing Faith because I got her. I understood her, and I knew exactly how she would stand, where she would go, what she would look, how she would put out her cigarette. All these stupid little things that nobody would get. I understood it as soon as I was drawing Faith. So I love Buffy, and that's the girl I came with. But I will say, I
feel like the social media just exploded.
Oh, did I mean something different? Oh, sorry.
I had a lot of fun writing Spike. He was living on a bug ship, so that was fun in and of itself. And Sebastian was my favorite bug. I think Jane probably created him. So.
I probably did. I remember Spike naming all those bugs. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the fact because it was supposed to be a big thing, but it never stuck around. Jane had written that in order for Spike to recognize these guys, because they all look the same, they all had little post-its of names that he gave. So it's like, here, you're Mary, you're Jane, you're Sebastian, you're this. But I was really sad to see it didn't stick around because I thought it was so cool. Here you have this steampunk-looking thing with a little post-it that says, hi, my name is so-and-so.
So I was jealous when Spike left for his miniseries and then went over to An Angel in Faith.
I think there's some people in fandom who also regretted that happening. I loved writing Spike, but it was more based on the Angel season 5, the dynamic that they get when they get together. He is very fun to write.
Yeah, and I also had a lot of fun, even though it was very briefly writing Nikki Wood in the flashback in issue 6. It was cool just to visit kind of this iconic character that we didn't know that much about, aside from a couple of flashbacks. It was fun to go back and kind of fill in that story a little bit more.
So we're, obviously we're entering the final arc of season 9 for both Angel and Faith and Buffy. What kinds of things can we expect to see in these final issues? Any teasers you can give these fine people here this evening?
Well, in Angel of Faith, like I said, you will find out pretty soon whether they succeed or fail in resurrecting Giles, there will also be, let's see, what can I reveal? There will be big fighting. That's what I can say.
I can say this about the Billy episodes that are coming up, issues that are coming up, that you're going to learn a little something about the Zompires, and you're going to learn it from a really unexpected source.
I think I gave away a little bit of a spoiler. Those of you recording this can rewind and see what that was.
I think I'll go and underline that, but the title for the final arc of Buffy is The Core, and it refers to kind of the coming together of the core group of the Scoobies, which I think a lot of people will be excited to see them come back together after Buffy's been finding herself kind of on her own for so much of the season. But it also refers to kind of the locale, which George has mentioned earlier, of the big showdown. So I guess we can go ahead and spoil it. Yeah, it's on your deeper well. So we'll be going down.
We knew that already, though.
And there'll also be lots of fighting.
All right, so if there's anything I've learned in moderating any Jocelyn-related panel is that you guys actually probably have more questions than I do that you'd like to ask. So we're going to go ahead and start with some questions from the audience now. So if you want to just raise your hand. And remember to speak up, please. I'll start with you since your hand went up first over there.
Yeah. Is there going to be any crossover into Cabin in the Woods? Any reference?
Ooh, I love Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, is there? Is there?
I guess it's not too late.
Man, that would really screw with everybody's reality, sir. It's a great film, though. Did everybody see Cabin in the Woods? If you guys did not see Cabin in the Woods, you absolutely should. It is one of the smartest, most interesting takes on horror I think I've ever seen. And I'm a total nerd for that shit. So, okay.
You know what it should be? I know what it should be. You remember how they had Andrew wearing the husband's t-shirt?
Oh, sure.
Someone should be in a t-shirt that's a Cabin in the Woods shirt with the unicorn impaling.
Okay.
All right, talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so I know there was supposed to be the Drusilla set of comics that Juliet wrote that have been apparently indefinitely postponed. Is there going to be anything bringing that back, or is Drusilla going to come back at all? I kind of miss the girl.
Can everybody hear that? Everybody?
Yeah, she was asking about the Drusilla miniseries that got postponed. As I understand, Juliet got cast in a bunch of things at once, and whether Drusilla would be back. I really enjoyed writing her in Angel of Faith. I will leave you to the rest.
Oh, great. Give me the hard part. Yeah, it's basically at this point we don't have an update just yet. I mean, we would still really like to do more Drusilla. We would still really like to do that story with Juliet. It's just a matter of her schedule. It turns out that actresses are kind of busy.
I'll email her husband. It's all good.
Yeah, I want to see it too because I did the covers. For all of them.
That's true, and they were awesome.
Thank you.
I've already seen some of them. Okay, next. You.
If you guys could describe the final arc in one word, what would it be?
And you don't just want like awesome or something.
The question is, if you guys can describe the final arc in one word, what would it be? I thought we should have kept going there, but
I'm going to say Friends.
What's France?
Friends.
no, that has layers. France, yeah.
Everyone can figure it out when it comes out.
I will say it's Lost, actually.
I've read it, but I'm going to go with Epic. I mean, Epic is as much of a cop-out as awesome, but I think it gives you a sense of the scope of it, how everything ties together. I'm going to say that.
I can't do it in one word, but the title of the final arc of Angel of Faith is What You Want, Not What You Need. So I think that says...
So the Rolling Stones make an appearance?
I actually got it from the song Fix You, but not the Coldplay version. There's a version by the Young at Heart Chorus, which is a group of senior citizens who performed the song. And it was sung by a guy who was a World War II veteran. He's since passed away, and he's on oxygen. You can hear his oxygen machine going as he's singing. He's got this amazing voice, and it was supposed to be a duet with him and his best friend, but his best friend had passed away, so it is the most poignant thing you will ever hear in your life. I know. Wow. Yeah.
That is awesome.
So season 8 was this huge, massive undertaking that took years, and season 9 is much smaller. But going forward, do you envision kind of going back and forth between these ginormous stories and smaller tales, or I guess kind of what's the sense going forward?
You know, this goes back to what I think you were saying before, is what is at stake, what's this all about? And I think and Josh has said this himself, season 8 was kind of like, we can do anything, let's do this. And then season 9 was more like, okay, let's get back to basics. But at the same time, I think season 9 and going forward is going to be whatever the story dictates. It's about the people. If the story dictates a big space opera, then we'll do that. Firefly crossover. I'm making that up.
Any real true believer and reader of the comic will see a very small relationship between the two. On the very first issue of season 8, I did Buffy wearing what's the symbol they have on their shirt? Yeah, the Blue Sun shirt. She's wearing that shirt on the alternate cover. But Joss was very big on saying, no, these are two different worlds.
Yeah.
He was like, that's really cute, but don't ever do that again.
Put Jane's hat in the Connor issue 11, I think it was, of Angel of Faith.
I'd like to see if there are any Jan hats in the room. I don't see any. But if you watch Firefly, you know what a Jan hat is. It doesn't have to do with me.
fact, there's got to be one. There we go. I knew there was one in this room somewhere. Everyone staring at her.
Oh, and by the way, the question was, season 8 was such a huge, big celestial season. Season 9 was a little more focused. Do we plan on going back and forth with that? So.
And the answer was sometimes yes, sometimes no. See what the story is.
Demands.
Yeah.
You here? You, then you. I promise.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I can imagine one of the tricky things about doing a series that's actually canon to everything that came before it is trying to come up with expanding that universe and everything like that. Which, I must say, you guys have done an amazing job, by the way, for the past few seasons. Now, what I wanted to know was, how much creative control and liberty do you have with expanding upon this universe, and how much direction does Captain Marvel Studios give you guys?
Don't call him that.
Well, the question there is, how much creative control do we have expanding this universe and it being canon still?
Yeah, I mean, Joss has been, and maybe, Jane and Georges can speak to season 8, but with season 9, we started it with a writer's summit at Joss's house, and we all met and kind of hashed out things we wanted to see, and then Christos and I each went off and, kind of put together arcs and outline of how all those things could kind of fit together and add up to something more. And then it was lots of emailing with Joss, phone calls with him, and whatnot to kind of really hash out, what he saw going forward. So he's really involved, and there are lots of emails to him saying, hey, what if we do this? And I think the great thing about Joss is when he hears a good idea, he wants to do it, and it's not so much about where it came from, it's just, is that a good idea, and does it sound true to the universe that he created? And so yeah, he's had a pretty big hand in all of this.
There are some things that, like Scott will say, okay, this is something we've got to run by Joss in the early stages, like Whistler's origin story and what we intend to do at the end and stuff like that. And then there are some things that Joss will see more in the, and this is a good example in the script of, we did a flashback to Giles where we actually, when he's a teenage kid, we see his father for the first time. In my initial draft of the script, he was written very much like Wesley's dad, very cold and authoritarian. And at that point, Joss came back and said, no, it's too much like Wesley's dad, and let's not do another cold father. Can we approach this another way? So, I did it more of like a generational difference in, how much Giles' I did it too. Giles' father was just a less emotionally expressive person, but he still loved him, and you can see it in there. But I agree. It's all about whatever makes the best story in the end, which is the environment that as a creative person you always want to have.
Yeah, I mean, the fun thing is there have been, a number of emails throughout the season where we're all copied on it, and we'll be throwing ideas back and forth, and then all of a sudden, Joss will chime in with an idea, and it'll be really cool. Talk about the Giles stuff, which I won't specifically about, but
yes. There was an exchange of emails about what's ultimately going to happen with Giles, so keep reading.
This is a funny little, it has very little to do with this, but there was a point when Joss was filming Avengers, and it just shows you his dedication, I thought. And he was driving to the set, apparently, because he gave me a call, because I had called and said, oh yeah, I just need to talk to you about some stupid little thing, whatever, we can email or whatever. And he called, and we're talking, I guess, as he's driving to the set, and, the little mundane things, and I can hear the car stop, and him getting out of the car, and we're still talking, and he kind of goes, what the hell is this? This isn't what I wanted. Damn, there's something wrong on the Avengers set. I'm like, oh, Josh, well, I'll let you go, buddy. Yeah, you got to do your thing. He said, no, what, keep going. Are we done, or did you need some more info? And I'm like, no, I got it. You're good. So go. And just like that, he's like, I'm sure this $1 million thing he had to take care of, but he was concerned with, well, if you had a question about Buffy, let me know. So I thought that was so cool.
I almost interpreted that as like some bad delayed reaction to the minute detail that it took. And the lovely lady behind that gentleman.
All right, I have two questions, but I'm hoping you're allowed to answer the questions to this one. I'm curious, what was the scrap season 9 plan?
What was the scrapped season 9 plan? Was there one? I don't think there was.
No, you said that there was a really, really big one, but then you guys decided to go back to basics.
No, season 8 was really big, and with season 9, it was decided to make it more, back to basics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And the internet almost explodes.
I know. It was going to be a season-long polyamorous Angel Spike Buffy.
It was also going to be your Firefly crossover.
Firefly was going to cross over too.
And then she dies at the end.
Again.
How about this side of the ring? Here we go.
Hey guys, I love the comics. Given what we've seen with the DC animated films, I'm just wondering, I know that the live-action Buffy is never going to happen, and I don't think Kickstarter to get at that. But is there a chance of an animated season 8 and season 9 to join the rest of my DVDs on the show?
Is there a chance of an animated season 8 or 9?
Oh.
Well, there is the webcomic. I'm sorry, not webcomic. What is it?
Motion comic.
Sorry, thank you. Motion comic. That did tail through 1 through 18. I'm sure you got those, which I thought were pretty good. I just wish they would have asked me because there were so many little things in the artwork that I was like, oh no, I could have gotten that so much better.
It sounds like there's no plans.
Yeah, I didn't like what they did, so no.
Such a hammer. You?
Well, Jane had mentioned about the fact that you get all this fan mail, and I'm sure, over the years of all kinds of people of all walks saying how they are inspired and how Buffy has shaped them in some way or changed their lives. And I was just wondering how Buffy has changed, the Buffyverse has changed your guys' lives, either personally or creatively.
She's wondering how the Buffyverse might have changed the guys sitting up here, how it might have changed their lives.
You want to start?
Sure. Gosh, this is going to sound weird, but I think it's affected everything else that I've written since seeing it. And before seeing Avengers, I think you all know what I mean, but I write a lot of superhero comics and other types of comics, and as well as other non-comic book stuff. But once you get immersed in Joss's approach to writing, it's not like you try to sound like him or do what, but it's that approach about that it's all ultimately about the people and they're what matters, and it has to resonate. I think that just, for me, that's how it's affected me tremendously, seeing writing.
Yeah, it totally affected my writing in the same way. Every show I've gone to since then I've brought with it the idea of what's the reason to tell this story, and that drives everything. It also was the first time I had any job security in TV. It's the thing that cemented me as a TV writer instead of, I worked in comedy up to that point, and there were seasons I didn't get staffed, and it wasn't at all clear that I was going to stick as a TV writer and be able to make my career doing that. And Joss gave me a home and job security and made me feel like I could do this job. And that was amazing. And he gave me the courage to branch out into other things, to try comic books, to try writing animated Buffy, which never got made, all the different things that we did and when he did Dr. Horrible, it made me start saying like, oh, the web is a place that I can go and have an impact, and it led to me doing Husbands, and like everything I've done since has been, I really think, because of Joss.
Dude, this is gonna sound so mundane, but Buffy has allowed me to travel. I have never gone so far. While I take a wealth of memories and episodes and emotion with me, I am grateful that she has allowed me to travel as much as I have.
Similar to what Jane was saying, working with Joss as a TV writer I was lucky enough to have Dollhouse be my second television writing job. So from the very beginning, I was kind of learning to think like all the Whedon writers do. And the more and more I've written, the more shows I've worked on. Dollhouse with Jane, I've worked with on Dollhouse and now Once, and all you guys in the past couple of years we've been working together. It's all so much fun and so so many good people. So.
Yeah, Joss attracts good people. That was a great question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
You say?
Any prospects for a continuation of the Dollhouse storyline, either in comics or crossovers into Buffy?
Any prospects of the Dollhouse storyline continuing on to the Dollhouse or Buffy and Angel line?
We did do, have you seen the series we did do? That actually did really well, and I know that it's the kind of thing, one of the things that's really important for Dark Horse in everything that we do that has Joss's name on it, because I'm here to tell you, like we could have a Serenity ongoing and sell shit tons of it every month. However, the fact is that we really want Joss to be directly involved in everything that we do with these worlds and these characters that he's created. So we do have, for instance, another Serenity series which we're working on for later in this year. So that's going to be something that's going to be very exciting. And then as far as Dollhouse goes, there's nothing on the calendar as of right now, but I know that I can safely say that I don't think we're done with those characters. So hopefully you will see. You're in front.
Looking back on season 9, what has been the hardest arc or story to write?
Looking back on season 9, what has been the hardest story or arc to write?
I really want to give you a game show.
I do. I hear the music behind you.
And remember to answer in the form of a question. For me, it was the first one because, unlike...
you just stole my answer, too.
There you go. Well, no, it was because, everyone else involved had either been involved with the Buffy show or with, in your case, Andrew, with one of Joss's shows. And I was just coming in out of, I had a television experience, but not on the Joss shows. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to totally screw this up, or what if he hates it? Or it was just really, 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 really scary. So that's why that was the hardest one.
Yeah, I had worked with Joss before, but that was on Dollhouse, and I was there from the beginning of Dollhouse, so I really felt like I had wrapped my head around it. But then Buffy, it has such a history and had meant so much to me before as a TV writer that coming into that and sitting down, Joss wrote such a great issue 1, sitting down to write issue 2, it was really intimidating to pick that up. And
that would have been even worse if he'd written the first issue and then, all right, you take it from here.
So, I'd have to say that first arc, just kind of understanding the character and how to write her and picking up where Joss had left off.
The hardest thing for me artistically was actually, Jane, your art with Oz and Tibet and all that. Not because it was great, and I was right with you, the idea that we were finding out what happened to Oz and where his life went. But oh my God, all the guys were there. So I had to draw everybody, all of the Scoobies, plus Oz and Giles and all of these army dudes and everybody. And it's one thing to have to draw somebody and have their photo reference. It's another thing to have to draw 7 people almost every page and look at their photo reference going, oh, okay, who would do that? Where would that go? So, that was so tough for me.
And I sent you a lot of other photos.
Yeah, Deech and Lockman. You had asked me that Oz's wife looked like Deech and Lockman from Dollhouse, which I was like, oh my God, that's such a perfect fit. So yeah, it was added reference on top of reference.
And I want the goddesses to look like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the landscape looks like this, and I want the temple to look like. Yeah, I was really. I think that.
No, I loved it. It was just so hard to get that in on a certain timeline.
Yeah.
Well, as any good Joss Whedon fan knows, all good things must come to an end.
Aww.
And then come back again in a different form.
And we have to know which one of us is favorite, because that person has to be killed before we end.
And when we come back, we'll be singing about it.
So, unfortunately, we are out of time. I want to thank all of the panelists up here for being here. Buffy panel at Comic-Con. Everybody have a great show, have a safe evening, and please, for the love of God, keep reading comics. Thanks a lot. Take care.